Welcome back to the Ben McGreevy Sports Podcast. I am so glad that you decided to join us today. Today's episode is not going to be a super long one, but I am excited for the content that we have for you today. We're going to talk a little bit about the Jason Robertson signing, and then we're going to talk about the Nashville Predators' first two games of the season and what we saw, and specifically a couple of the players that we liked. And so, like I said, we'll start with Jason Robertson, then we'll get into the Nashville Predators. I'm by myself today, flying solo, so let's get into it. Alrighty, let's get straight into it. What we're going to do is I want us to start out talking about Jason Robertson. Now, Jason Robertson just signed a deal with the Dallas Stars. They had been trying to get this deal done for a while now. Had been working all throughout the summer to get him signed so he could play this year. And finally, they got him signed for a 4-year deal where he averaged $7.75 million per year. Now, Jason Robertson is one of those guys who is a young player in the NHL who truly is one of those next up-and-coming players. I mean, when I look at him, he is one of those guys who, if he continues with his potential for the next 20 years, is going to be, if he plays for another 20 years, obviously not everyone's Jaromir Jagr, but for at least the next 10 or 15 years, you're looking at Jason Robertson as being one of the premier players in the league, the guy who's going to win you a Stanley Cup, the guy who's going to take you to that next level. And he signed this deal for $7.75 million. Now, let me give you a little bit of background on Jason Robertson. He's played 2 NHL seasons. He played 3 games for Dallas in 19 and 20, but he was very young then. He then played 51 games in the 2021 season, and he played 74 games in the 21-22 season. In his year where he played 51 games, his first time where he was really, truly playing in the NHL, he had 45 points in 51 games, 17 goals, 28 assists. This past season in 2021-2022, Jason Robertson played in 74 games. He had 79 assists. That is over a point per game. Now, here's where things get a little bit strange. You have a guy in Jason Robertson who is young. He's 23 years old. Now, I want to compare him to like Philip Forsberg for the Nashville Predators, for example. Philip Forsberg, great player, good scorer. He's going to constantly be very consistent. He has that injury issues throughout his years. But here's the deal. Philip Forsberg had his best season ever last year and had 84 points. Now, that was in 69 games, but before that, he was sitting there. And by the way, Jason Robertson played 51 games in the shortened season. The 2021 season was shortened. That's why he only played in 51 games. But you sit there and you say, okay, Forsberg, before this past year, never broke the 70-point mark. Jason Robertson, in his first full season that was an 82-game season, breaks it. Forsberg just signed a huge deal for over $8 million. Why is a 23-year-old superstar only getting $7.75 million? If you're Dallas, maybe it's because you have 2 terrible contracts with Tyler Seguin, which, by the way, Seguin makes $9.85 million to 26-27. That's way far out there. And then Jamie Benn, who is making $9.5 million. Those are awful contracts that are signed right now. Maybe that's the reason why they don't sign him for this huge number. But let's be fair to Jason Robertson. Jason deserves way more money than what he got based on what he has shown me and the rest of the NHL right now. Now, you're going to say that Dallas got a good deal on this, and that is true. And really, Jason Robertson in the end is still making $7.75 million per year. I just thought that Dallas could have done, maybe try to do a little bit more to secure him. And as a fan of the National Hockey League, and as a fan who really can't stand Dallas, no offense to you, Dallas, I'm okay with this because maybe this gives him the opportunity to go play somewhere else. because I'm sorry, Dallas isn't winning a cup anytime soon. Insert that clip in your highlight videos when Dallas is in the Stanley Cup final this coming year. But you look at this, Dallas still has to sign Rupe Hintz next year. And you're looking at that, and that's why they're having to save money in what they're signing Robertson for. But I really don't love that deal for Jason Robertson. Good for Dallas, bad for Robertson. Would have loved to have seen him be able to make a little bit more money because I think he deserves it. I think he is probably at least an $8 million, if not a $9 million player there for the Dallas Stars. So Jason Robertson, good player. Even though I'm not a huge fan of Dallas, I like Robertson, and I like most of their players. It's really just something about them that I don't like. But on the teams that I do like, the Nashville Predators, they have opened their season with 2 wins. Now, this is incredibly exciting if you are a Nashville Predators fan. Nashville played I'm recording this on Saturday. Nashville played on Friday and beat the San Jose Sharks 4-1. That was with an empty net goal. And then they played again today on Saturday, which is October the 8th, and beat San Jose 3-2. I did not get to watch a lot of the Saturday game just because I had other things going on. And for some reason, the Bally Sports app was not working for me when I got the chance to watch it. But I did have the opportunity to watch the Friday game, and I will tell you that the Nashville Predators looked so good. And they said this on the broadcast, but I wanted to talk about it here because it's so true. The way the additions of Niederreiter and Ryan McDonough did so much more than just add a couple players to the roster. It slotted people where they are supposed to be. You now have a set first line, a set second line, a set third line, and a set fourth line. And same on the defensive pairing, first, second, and third pairing. Dante Fabro is going to be a way better player this year than he was last year because he's going to be playing in that third D pairing. It just is where he slots, and it's going to make him look a lot better. I was really impressed with the speed in which the Predators played, the physicality in which they played, and I was just really impressed with the team all the way up and down the lineup. I want to give a few exact shout outs to a few players that really stood out to me. And I'm going to start with the number 1 player that stood out to me this year, and that is Nino Niederreiter. That guy has come to Nashville. He's the type of player that fits in John Hines' system. And look for him to have a big year. No one cares about other people's fantasy teams, but I'm going to tell you briefly about my league. I went after the first game, I thought, I should have drafted him. And I went to pick him up during the second game, and he was already snagged, not drafted, picked up on the waiver wire because I think people are seeing what type of year he's going to have. This is not a fluke. He's reunited with Ryan Johansson from their junior days. They already have chemistry back, although you saw him get a gorgeous feed from Tolvanen in the Saturday game. I think Niederreiter is going to be a guy who's going to put up big numbers for the Nashville Predators this year. And so look for him. Another player that stood out immediately, Kiefer Sherwood, makes the roster out of nowhere. Philip Tomasino is a healthy scratch. And Kiefer Sherwood is on that second line with Ryan Johansson and Nino Niederreiter, and he gets a goal in the first 3 minutes of his first NHL game with the Nashville Predators. That's an interesting selection. I don't know how long that's going to last and if it will last, but good for Sherwood if it does. I loved watching him play, and I thought he looked great. I also want to give a shout out to the Ryan McDonough, Matthias Ekholm pairing. Those guys are going to be locked down this year. They showed up, and neither of them are going to be the most prolific offensive players anymore. That's not who they are, but they are going to be, they are going to be beasts when it comes to shutting people down. And the way they were able to manipulate the San Jose Sharks, you never felt like the Sharks had an opportunity. They were hard on pucks. They were gritty. They were everything you wanted out of a second line D pairing. And I loved how Carrier slots up with the OC to have a more offensive minded pairing there. Honestly, everything that we have seen so far this season out of the Predators has been really encouraging to watch. I mean, there's nothing, and the Sharks aren't the best team in the NHL. Let's not get ahead of ourselves right now. But statistically, the Nashville Predators currently are. That's of course a little bit irrelevant because no one else has played a game. But the Nashville Predators look like they can face anyone in the league. They look totally different than they did last year. They look like they're going to be a fun team to watch. Saros looks good. The defense looks good. The forwards look good. The system looks good. And I'll tell you what, look for the Nashville Predators to do big things this season. I'm excited to see where we go, and I'm pumped all around for the Preds. On a totally different note, I know this isn't hockey related, but as a massive Tennessee Volunteers football fan, the Tennessee Volunteers today just absolutely obliterated LSU. And if you're a college football fan or don't care a thing about college football, that's an exciting thing for a Tennessee fan who has struggled to see a team win really since I've been born. And so this is an exciting day for me. And I don't know that Tennessee will go on and beat Alabama in the coming weeks, but I'm excited to see what the football season can look like for the Vols. So that wraps up today's podcast. Is very short, but that's okay. I appreciate you tuning in and listening. Thank you again so much for tuning into today's podcast. If you are listening on podcast and want to leave a review or follow our podcast, that would mean so much to us. If you're watching on YouTube, hello. I would love it if you hit the like and subscribe button and share this with your friends. We would love to grow this podcast and make it something where we can bring in a lot of people for interviews and things like that and give you better content. But the only way we can do that is if those who are higher up in the NHL see that we have a listenership. And so you guys need to spread the word, and we will make this thing the best we can possibly make it. So thank you again for listening. I appreciate all of you. We don't have a musical artist to close us out this week just because it was kind of a shortened podcast and it's been a busy week for me. But we will get back to that very soon. So thank you again, and we'll see you next time.